They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but when someone tries to destroy your entire life, frames you for a crime you didn't commit, and almost sends you to prison, cold doesn't even begin to cover it. My name is Alex, and 3 years ago, my coworker Marcus tried to frame me for embezzling $50,000 from our company. He planted evidence, manipulated records, and watched with a smile as security escorted me out of the building in handcuffs. Everyone believed him. My boss, HR, even some of my friends. I lost everything in a single day. But Marcus made one critical mistake. He underestimated me. This is the story of how I cleared my name and made sure Marcus got exactly what he deserved. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why they say karma is real. Sometimes she just needs a little help. Let me take you back to where this all started. 4 years ago, I was living what I thought was my dream life. I was 29 years old, working as a senior financial analyst at Meridian Tech Solutions, a mid-sized software company in Seattle. The pay was incredible, the benefits were solid, and I had just gotten engaged to my girlfriend of 3 years, Sarah. Life was good, really good. I worked in the finance department with a team of 6 people. Our department head was Linda, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who ran a tight ship. Then there was Marcus Chen, the assistant finance manager. Marcus was 35, always impeccably dressed, charming, and ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. He'd been with the company for 7 years, working his way up from a junior analyst position. On the surface, we got along fine. We'd grab lunch sometimes, talk about sports, the usual coworker small talk. But I started noticing things. About 6 months before everything went down, I got promoted to senior financial analyst. It was a position Marcus had been eyeing. I didn't know this at the time. I found out later from another coworker. The promotion came with a significant raise and put me on the fast track to potentially becoming the next assistant manager when Marcus eventually moved up. That's when his demeanor toward me changed. Subtle at first. He'd be less friendly, more curt in emails. He'd leave me out of meetings I should have been included in. I chalked it up to stress or maybe some personal issues he was dealing with. I had no idea he was planning my downfall. It started with small things going wrong. Reports I'd completed would mysteriously have errors in them when they reached Linda's desk, errors I knew I hadn't made. Files would go missing from my desk. I'd be blamed for miscommunications that I never received. "Alex, where's the Q3 projection report?" Linda asked me one morning, her tone sharp. "I sent it to you yesterday at 4 p.m., I replied, pulling up my sent emails to show her. "Well, I never received it. This is the second time this month you've claimed to send something I never got." I felt my stomach drop. "Linda, I swear I sent it. Look, here's the confirmation." But when I pulled up my email, the sent message wasn't there. It was gone, completely vanished from my sent folder. Figure out what's going on with your email, Alex. This is becoming a pattern. Marcus, sitting at his desk nearby, looked up with what I now recognize as fake concern. "Hey man, maybe you should have checked your computer. Could be a virus or something." "Yeah," I muttered, "maybe." It checked my computer. They found nothing wrong. This happened 3 more times over the next month. Important emails disappearing, files corrupting, data mysteriously changing after I'd verified it. I was starting to look incompetent, and I couldn't figure out why. Then came the big one. It was a Wednesday morning in October. I remember because it was Sarah's birthday, and I was planning to leave work early to take her to her favorite restaurant. I had the reservation, the flowers ordered, everything planned. I arrived at work at 8 a.m. like always, but as soon as I stepped off the elevator, I knew something was wrong. The energy in the office was off. People were whispering, looking at me with strange expressions. Linda's assistant, Jennifer, approached me before I even reached my desk. "Alex, Linda needs to see you in her office immediately," HR is there too. My heart started pounding. What's this about? Just go to her office now. I walked to Linda's office, my mind racing through every possible scenario. When I opened the door, I found Linda, our HR director Patricia, and two men I didn't recognize. Later, I learned they were from corporate security. "Sit down, Alex," Linda said, her face unreadable. I sat. Patricia spoke first. "Alex, we've discovered some serious irregularities in the company's financial accounts. Specifically, there have been unauthorized transfers totaling $50,000 from our operating account to an external account over the past 3 months." The room started spinning. "What? I don't understand. What does this have to do with me?" One of the security guys opened a laptop and turned it toward me. "These transfers were all authorized using your employee credentials and digital signature. The external account is registered to a shell company, but the IP address traces back to your workstation." "That's impossible," I said, my voice rising. "I never authorized any transfers. I don't have the authority to." "You don't have official authority," Linda interrupted, "but you have access to Marcus's login credentials for backup purposes. We verified that these transfers were made using that access." I felt like I was going to throw up. "Linda, I swear to you I didn't do this. Someone is framing me. This is." "Alex," Patricia cut me off, her voice cold. "We also found documents on your computer detailing the shell company, including bank account information and transaction records. We have emails from your account to this shell company discussing the transfers. Check the metadata, check the IP logs. I'm telling you someone else did this." "We did check," the security officer said. "Everything points to you. The transfers happened during your work hours from your computer using your session credentials." I looked at each of them, desperate. "Please, you have to believe me. Why would I do this? I make good money. I'm about to get married. I have no reason to." "People steal for lots of reasons," Patricia said flatly. "We're placing you on immediate suspension pending a full investigation. You need to surrender your badge and any company property. Corporate is deciding whether to involve law enforcement." "Law enforcement?" I felt my chest tighten. "You're calling the police?" "If the investigation confirms what we found, yes. This is embezzlement, Alex. It's a felony." I stood up, my legs shaking. "I want to see the evidence, all of it. I want to know exactly what you found because I'm telling you right now, I didn't do this." Linda finally spoke, and I could hear the disappointment in her voice. "I trusted you, Alex. I promoted you. And this is how you repay the company." "I didn't do it," I shouted, losing my composure. Security stood up. "Sir, we need you to calm down." "Let me see Marcus. I need to talk to Marcus." "Marcus is the one who discovered the irregularities," Patricia said. "He's been helping us with the investigation." And that's when it clicked. That's when I knew. Marcus did this. Somehow Marcus framed me. They didn't just suspend me. By the end of that day, I was arrested. I was escorted out of the building by company security while my coworkers watched. Some looked shocked, others whispered to each other. I saw Marcus standing by his desk, arms crossed, watching me leave. Our eyes met for just a second. He smiled, just a tiny upturn of his lips, but I saw it. The police were waiting in the lobby. They read me my rights, handcuffed me, and took me to the station. I was fingerprinted, photographed, and thrown in a holding cell until Sarah could scrape together bail money. $50,000 bail for a crime I didn't commit. Sarah was incredible through all of this. She believed me without question, even as the evidence mounted. She maxed out credit cards and borrowed money from her parents to get me out, but I could see the fear in her eyes. "We'll fight this," she kept saying. "We'll prove you're innocent." But how do you prove a negative? How do you prove you didn't do something when all the evidence says you did? I hired a lawyer, Daniel Reeves, who specialized in white-collar crime. He was expensive, $200 an hour, but he was supposedly the best. "I'm not going to lie to you, Alex," Daniel said at our first meeting. "The evidence against you is substantial. Digital forensics, financial records, your login credentials, IP addresses, it all points to you. But I didn't do it." "I believe you, but belief isn't evidence. We need to find proof that someone else did this. That means we need to find out how they gained access to your credentials, your workstation, and your digital signature." It had to be Marcus. He's the only one who would benefit from this. "Why Marcus specifically?" I explained everything. The promotion, the changed behavior, the mysterious computer problems I'd been having. Daniel nodded slowly. "It's possible, but we need evidence. Real, tangible evidence that links him to this fraud. Do you have access to any company systems anymore?" "No, they revoked everything immediately." "Then we're starting from scratch. I'm going to hire a private investigator and a digital forensics expert. This is going to cost you, Alex." It cost me everything. My savings, Sarah's savings, loans from family. We were drowning in legal bills and the trial hadn't even started. Word spread fast. Within a week, everyone I knew had heard about my arrest. My phone blew up with messages at first, some supportive, many accusatory. Former friends and colleagues demanding to know if it was true. My social media filled with comments and speculation. Sarah's parents started questioning whether she should stay with me. "Honey, if he did this, he could go to prison for years," her mother said, loud enough for me to hear from the other room. I couldn't find work. Every job application that made it to the background check stage came back rejected. I was radioactive. We had to cancel the wedding. Not postpone, cancel. We couldn't afford it anymore, and honestly, we didn't know if I'd be free to attend my own wedding. Depression hit me hard. Some days I couldn't get out of bed. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, running through everything in my mind, trying to figure out where I'd slipped up, how Marcus had done it. "Talk to me," Sarah would say, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Please, Alex, you're scaring me." "I'm sorry," I'd whisper. "I'm so sorry you're going through this because of me. This isn't your fault." But it felt like it was. Even though I was innocent, the guilt was crushing. Guilt for dragging Sarah into this nightmare, for the money her parents lost, for the stress I'd put on everyone I loved. 2 months into my legal battle, my private investigator, a former cop named Rita Chen, found something. "Alex, I need you to think carefully," she said during a meeting in Daniel's office. "In the weeks before your arrest, did Marcus ever have physical access to your computer?" "I mean, yeah. Everyone in the office had access to everyone's computers. We'd help each other with technical issues sometimes." "Did he ever specifically work on your computer?" I thought back. Actually, yeah. About a month before everything happened, I was having issues with my email. Things were running slow, programs crashing. Marcus offered to take a look. He said he'd had similar issues and knew how to fix them. Rita and Daniel exchanged glances. "What?" I asked. "How long did he have access to your computer?" "I went to lunch. Maybe an hour. He said he'd keep working on it while I was gone." Rita leaned forward. "Alex, an hour is more than enough time to install keylogging software, clone credentials, and set up remote access. If Marcus knew what he was doing, he could have set up a backdoor into your system that would let him access everything." My heart started racing. So he could have done all of this remotely. Exactly. And if he was smart about it, he'd make it look like all the activity came from your physical workstation. "Can you prove that?" I asked. "That's the hard part," Daniel interjected. "Your computer was seized as evidence. It's in the prosecutor's custody. We'd need a court order to have an independent forensic analysis done, and even then, if Marcus knew what he was doing, he might have covered his tracks." "But it's possible." "It's possible," Rita said. "But we need more. We need to prove Marcus had the motive, the means, and the knowledge to pull this off." Rita started investigating Marcus's background thoroughly. She discovered some interesting things. Marcus had a degree in computer science before switching to finance. He was more than capable of the technical skills needed to pull off this kind of frame-up. He had significant debt, credit card debt, a gambling problem that he'd kept hidden. Rita found records of him visiting local casinos frequently, always losing more than he won. Most importantly, she found evidence that Marcus had been passed over for a major promotion 2 years earlier. The person who got that promotion had suddenly resigned 6 months later under mysterious circumstances involving inappropriate conduct that was never fully explained. Rita interviewed the person who'd gotten that promotion, a woman named Jennifer Marks who now worked for a competitor. "Marcus ruined me," Jennifer told Rita during a recorded phone call. "I can't prove it, but I know he did. Files started appearing on my computer, personal files that violated company policy. Someone sent anonymous emails to HR claiming I was having an affair with a married executive. It was all lies, but the company forced me to resign to avoid a scandal." "Did you ever report your suspicions about Marcus?" "Who would believe me? I looked guilty. All the evidence pointed to me. Sound familiar?" It sounded very familiar. "We need to make him slip up," Rita said during one of our strategy sessions. "Right now, we have suspicions and circumstantial evidence. We need something concrete." "How?" I asked. "We need him to think he's won, that you're finished and he's safe. People get cocky when they think they've gotten away with something." Daniel nodded. "I agree. Alex, I know this is going to be hard, but we need you to plead guilty." "What?" I stood up from my chair. "Absolutely not. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do." "Not really," Daniel clarified. "We need you to let it leak that you're considering a plea deal. Word will get back to Marcus. If he thinks you're about to give up and accept responsibility, he might let his guard down." Or, Rita added, he might make contact, gloat. Criminals often can't resist rubbing their victims' faces in it. I looked at Sarah, who'd been quiet through all of this. "What do you think?" "I think," she said slowly, "that we need to do whatever it takes to clear your name. If this is the play, we make it." So we did. Daniel let it slip to the prosecutor that I was considering a plea deal. Within 48 hours, it was the talk of the courthouse. The local legal blog picked it up. A small news article mentioned the Meridian tech embezzlement case moving toward resolution. And then 3 days later, I got a Facebook message from Marcus. The message was simple. "Hey man, I heard about the plea deal, probably for the best. No point dragging it out when the evidence is clear. Take care of yourself." I stared at that message for a full minute, my hands shaking with rage. "He's gloating," I said to Rita, showing her the message on my phone. "He is," she agreed, "but he's also being careful. There's nothing incriminating here. He's covering himself in a veneer of fake concern." "So this doesn't help us?" "Actually, it does. It confirms he's watching the case. He cares about the outcome, and it gives us an opening." "What kind of opening?" Rita smiled. "We message him back. You're going to tell him you're scared, that you're thinking about cooperating with investigators, that you know someone set you up but you're afraid to say who because you have no proof." "You want me to threaten him?" "No, we want you to dangle bait. Make him think you suspect him but that you're too afraid and broken to do anything about it. When people think they're safe but there's a tiny chance they might not be, they make mistakes." I sent the message Rita drafted. "Thanks, it's been hell, honestly. I keep thinking someone set me up, but my lawyer says without proof, I'm done. The plea deal is the only way to avoid serious prison time. I just wish I knew who did this to me." Marcus replied within an hour. "That's rough, man, but sometimes bad things happen to good people. You just have to accept it and move on. Fighting it will only make things worse." "He's telling you to give up," Sarah said, reading over my shoulder. He wants you to take the fall. Rita was recording everything, documenting every message. Keep him talking, asked to meet up. I typed, I could really use a friend right now. Think we could grab coffee this weekend. I need someone to talk to who understands the company. Long pause, then. I don't think that's a good idea, Alex. The company told us not to have contact with you during the investigation. I could get in trouble. Sorry. He was being careful, too careful. Rita shifted strategies. We need to make him think the walls are closing in, not on you, on him. She arranged for a fake news story to be planted on a legitimate-looking blog about corporate fraud. The story detailed how federal investigators were taking a new look at several recent embezzlement cases, using advanced forensic techniques to uncover sophisticated digital fraud schemes. The story mentioned, without naming names, that several cases where employees were convicted might actually have been frame-ups, and that investigators were looking into inside jobs where one employee set up another. Rita made sure that story got shared in online groups where Meridian Tech employees hung out. Then she did something brilliant. She had a friend of hers, another former cop, show up at Meridian Tech asking questions about Marcus. Not officially, just as a private investigator looking into some discrepancies. The visit lasted 15 minutes. The investigator asked a few vague questions and left. But word spread through the office like wildfire. Marcus started getting nervous. Rita had someone monitoring his social media activity, his online purchases, everything. He started researching information about digital forensics. He visited websites about cybersecurity and how to cover digital tracks. He's worried, Rita said. He's trying to figure out if he left any traces. Did he? Everyone leaves traces. The question is whether we can find them before the trial. Daniel finally got the court order for an independent forensic analysis of my seized computer. He hired one of the best digital forensics experts in the country, a woman named Dr. Sarah Kim, who'd worked on major federal cybercrime cases. Dr. Kim spent 3 weeks analyzing every byte of data on my hard drive. Her report was devastating for the prosecution's case. I found evidence of remote access software that was installed approximately 6 weeks before the alleged theft, Dr. Kim testified in a pretrial hearing. This software was designed to hide its presence, but remnants of it remain in the system registry and temporary files. Can you determine who installed the software? Daniel asked. I can determine when it was installed and how it was used. Based on the timestamps and the pattern of access, the software was installed during a period when, according to office sign-in logs, Mr. Marcus Chen had physical access to Mr. Thompson's workstation. The prosecutor objected, arguing that anyone could have installed it, but the judge was clearly interested. Dr. Kim continued, "Furthermore, I found evidence that this remote access software was used to access Mr. Thompson's computer during times when building security records show Mr. Thompson was not in the office. Someone was remotely controlling his computer and using his credentials when he wasn't there. Can you trace where those remote accesses came from?" The direct IP addresses were masked through various proxies and VPNs, which is sophisticated. However, I was able to identify a pattern in the timing of the accesses. They consistently occurred during specific hours and on specific days, cross-referencing with the company's own network logs, which the defense has subpoenaed. I found that these time patterns match very closely with times when Marcus Chen was logged into the company network from his own workstation. The courtroom went silent. "Are you saying," the judge asked, "that when Mr. Thompson's computer was being remotely accessed, Mr. Chen was consistently active on the company network?" "Yes, Your Honor. The correlation is statistically significant. It suggests that whoever was remotely accessing Mr. Thompson's computer was doing so from within the company network, during work hours, from a workstation that was regularly used by someone other than Mr. Thompson. But Dr. Kim's testimony was just the beginning. Rita had been working a parallel track, following the money. The shell company that received the stolen $50,000 was registered in Delaware under the name Tech Consult Solutions, LLC. The registration listed a registered agent service, which is common and legal, but the actual beneficial owner was hidden. Rita traced the shell company's bank account. The money had been transferred in 3 installments over 2 months, then sat in the account for 3 weeks before being withdrawn as a cashier's check. That cashier's check was deposited into another account at a different bank, and that account, after passing through 2 more layers of transfers, eventually led to a personal savings account at a credit union, an account that had been opened 6 months before the theft began. Rita obtained the account opening documents through a legal subpoena. The signature on the paperwork was a dead end. It was clearly fake. But there was security camera footage from the credit union on the day the account was opened. The person in that security footage, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses but still clearly identifiable, was Marcus Chen. "We've got him," Rita said, showing me the footage. "This is the smoking gun." Armed with Dr. Kim's forensic report, the shell company evidence, and the security footage, Daniel filed a motion to dismiss all charges against me and presented evidence to the prosecutor suggesting Marcus Chen as the actual perpetrator. The prosecutor, to his credit, took the evidence seriously. He launched his own investigation. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in Sarah's apartment when my phone rang. It was Daniel. "They're arresting Marcus this morning," he said. "The charges against you are being formally dropped. Alex, you're free." I dropped the phone. Sarah caught me as my legs gave out. I broke down crying for the first time since this nightmare began. "It's over," Sarah kept saying. "Baby, it's over." But it wasn't over, not yet. I wanted Marcus to know that I knew. I wanted him to see me win. I went to the Meridian Tech office the morning they arrested him. I wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't work there anymore. But I stood in the lobby and watched through the glass doors as police officers walked Marcus out in handcuffs. He saw me standing there. Our eyes met, just like they had the day I was arrested. But this time, I was the one who smiled. Marcus's trial was almost anticlimactic after everything we'd been through. The evidence against him was overwhelming. The forensic evidence showed exactly how he'd done it. He'd installed remote access software on my computer, cloned my credentials, and set up the shell company. He'd made the fraudulent transfers during times when he knew I'd have no alibi, making it look like I was the only person who could have done it. He deleted the remote access software after the last transfer, but he'd missed the traces that Dr. Kim found. The shell company, the bank accounts, the security footage, it all pointed directly to him. His motive was clear too. He was drowning in debt from gambling. He needed money fast, and he saw an opportunity to steal it while framing someone else. The fact that I'd gotten the promotion he wanted was just bonus motivation. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that the evidence was circumstantial, that anyone with computer skills could have set me up, but the jury didn't buy it. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Marcus took the stand and maintained his innocence, claiming he was being framed just like he'd framed me. But he couldn't explain the security footage, the timing patterns, or why remote access software had been installed from his workstation. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts: embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, and tampering with computer systems. Marcus was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison and ordered to pay full restitution to Meridian Tech, plus additional damages to me for the harm to my reputation and career. Getting my life back wasn't instant. The criminal charges were dropped, but the damage to my reputation took time to repair. Meridian Tech offered me my job back with back pay for the time I was suspended. They also offered a substantial settlement to avoid a wrongful termination lawsuit. I took the money, but declined the job. I couldn't imagine working there again after what happened. I used the settlement money to pay back Sarah's parents and cover the legal fees that had piled up. We finally had our wedding. A small ceremony, just close family and friends, but it was perfect. Sarah and I moved to a different city for a fresh start. I got a job at a smaller company with better people. The background check brought up the arrest, but I was able to explain what happened, and my new employer actually researched the case and saw that I'd been exonerated. "We all have stories," my new boss told me during my final interview. "What matters is how you handled this one. You fought back, you proved your innocence, and you didn't give up. That's the kind of person we want on our team." The depression took longer to shake. I saw a therapist for 2 years, working through the trauma of being falsely accused, arrested, and having my entire life nearly destroyed. There were panic attacks, trust issues, and nights when I couldn't sleep because I'd relive the moment the police put handcuffs on me. But slowly, steadily, I healed. LESSONS learned. Looking back on this nightmare, I've learned some hard truths. First, people aren't always who they seem. Marcus was a coworker I thought I knew. We had friendly conversations. I trusted him, and he was planning my destruction the entire time. You can't always see betrayal coming, but you can be aware that it exists. Second, the justice system isn't perfect. I was innocent, and I still spent months facing prison time. If I hadn't had resources, money for a good lawyer, a private investigator, a forensic expert, I might be in prison right now for a crime I didn't commit. That thought haunts me. Third, never give up. Even when all the evidence pointed to me, even when my lawyer said the case looked bad, even when I wanted to just plead guilty and get it over with, I kept fighting. And that fight saved my life. Fourth, document everything. The security logs, email timestamps, building access records, all of that documentation was crucial in proving my innocence. Keep records, keep receipts, keep evidence. You never know when you'll need it. Finally, revenge isn't always about getting even. It's about justice. I didn't plant false evidence against Marcus or try to destroy his life the way he tried to destroy mine. I just uncovered the truth and let justice take its course. Sometimes the best revenge is simply proving that you were right all along. Marcus is currently serving his sentence at a federal prison. He'll be eligible for parole in 4 years, but he'll carry a federal conviction for the rest of his life. His career in finance is over. No one will ever hire him in that field again. I heard through the grapevine that his wife divorced him shortly after his conviction. He lost his house, his car, everything. He's exactly where he put himself. Meanwhile, Sarah and I just celebrated our 2nd anniversary. We bought a house. I got promoted at my new job. We're talking about starting a family. Life is good again, really good. I think about Marcus sometimes. Not with hate, I've moved past that, mostly with sadness. He had a good job, a decent life. He could have worked hard, been patient, and eventually gotten the promotion he wanted. Instead, he chose to steal and destroy someone else's life in the process. Was it worth it? 6 years in prison, a ruined reputation, a destroyed family, all for $50,000 that he never got to spend. He traded his entire future for a short-term solution to a problem he could have solved legitimately. The really crazy part, if he just asked for help, the company might have worked with him on his debt. They had employee assistance programs, but instead he chose crime, and then he chose me as his scapegoat. I used to wonder why he picked me. Was it because of the promotion? Because I was younger? Because he thought I'd be an easy target? I finally asked him. Through our lawyers after his conviction, I sent a message asking why. His response was simple: "You were convenient." That's it. My entire life was nearly destroyed because I was convenient. But here's the thing Marcus never understood. Being underestimated is sometimes the greatest advantage you can have. He thought I was convenient, easy, someone who wouldn't fight back. He was wrong. If you're going through something similar, if someone is trying to frame you, destroy your reputation, or ruin your life, don't give up. Fight back. Gather evidence. Document everything. Find people who believe in you and hold on to them. The truth has a way of coming out eventually. It's not always fast, and it's not always easy, but justice exists. Sometimes it just needs a little help. And to anyone thinking about framing someone else for your crimes, remember my story. Remember Marcus's story. Remember that forensic technology is advanced, that people are smarter than you think, and that the truth always leaves traces. You might think you've covered your tracks. You might think you've thought of everything. Marcus thought that too. Now he's in prison and I'm free. Be the judge.